Hello, folks. This is Apiwe Makimelele. We're continuing with our discussion. We had done part number one where we were discussing, the process of designing CVs, and on part number two we were discussing interview preparations and the interview itself. And this is part number three. And obviously, at this point, you have passed the interview. Well, obviously, you were first shortlisted, and then they phoned you, gave you the date and time when the interview and the place where the interview is going to be held, and you passed the interview, and they called you again. They called you or sent you an email telling you that you have successfully passed your interview, and therefore you're going to the third stage now, which is the assessments. In this stage is so frustrating. You don't know what's going to come up on the assessments, and sometimes companies are not so clear. Some they do tell you that it's going to be an assessment like this and that and that and that. And just before we start, let me just mention that companies would employ different types of assessments. Some are not really going to send you those assessments that are more focused on testing your your behavior and all those personality and all those kind of things. They're just going to send you maybe an Excel document. You just have to respond to the different scenarios that they're going to be giving you, more especially in a finance, FP&A, whatever environment. They normally send out those assessments. But some other companies, they like the one that I just mentioned, the ones that would be on Excel, it's not so formal. You just give them maybe an Excel spreadsheet with some numbers, then you have to put in comments and all those type of things. Then the one that I think it's very complicated. I actually don't like it myself, but I'm going to talk about it. I don't like the psychometric assessments. They can be so tricky. So obviously, psychometric assessments. It's obviously organization trying to explore individuals' suitability into their organization, and obviously they're going to measure. They're going to measure i-traits zakho. They're going to measure i-traits zakho ngezi assessments. And obviously when we talk about i-traits, we're going to talk about personality tests. We're going to talk about what is the other one, numerical test, analytical reasoning, and all those type of things. So they're going to measure you through those different assessments that they're going to send to you. So psychometric tests, they come in two categories. The first one being the first one assessing your ability, and then the other one is going to focus on the candidate's personality. So it's the ability and your personality. These are the two categories that they're going to look at. Normally, let me start with the last one, the personality tests. Normally, when they send you the personality tests, those are actually not restricted in terms of time. They just open. You can do it anytime for however long you want. And the nice thing about that is that there's no right or wrong when you're doing the personality tests. You're not going to be wrong, you're not going to be right, but whatever answer that you put in there, it's going to determine the kind of person you are, your behaviors, and your interests, and all those kind of things. So that one, normally when you do that one, they would give you they're going to give you a set of questions where you're going to say you agree or you do not agree with those. And normally what they would do, they would give you that question, and then after the first 5 set of questions, on the 6th question, they're going to repeat the first question, but they're just going to rephrase it, phrase it differently. And they obviously, if you choose something different, and then it's just going to mess up your scoring in the end. So obviously, it's not going to say you're right or wrong, but your personality might be a bit skewed, and your interests and all those kind of things. So you always have to. They normally say when you're going to do these tests, you must do them in a quiet place, and they always emphasize that you must relax. You must have proper sleep, and then go to a quiet space, and then do your assessments. And then I said the other one there was the ability test, which is also called the aptitude test. So the one on ability, it's called the aptitude test. So obviously that one is looking at numerical tests, analytical, reasoning, and all those things. So they're testing your intelligence. They're testing the way you think, in certain situations and all that. So they're gonna give you, some maths, or maybe accounting stuff if you are in the accounting field. Then you have to complete those, questions. They can be tricky. I must say they can be very difficult. And those ones, there is a right or wrong. They're gonna give you a scenario where you have to calculate and get to an answer, and you'll be given maybe 4 different answers where you have to choose which one is correct. And obviously those ones, there will be a wrong or a right. So you always have to you always have to be in a quiet place. You always have to be in a space where there's not going to be any disruption or whatever, where you're going to have time to really focus on the assessment. So, like I said, that all these assessments, they are designed to test your intelligence. They are designed to test your personality, how you behave. Maybe when you are with other people. Are you a person who enjoys his or her own space, or you enjoy being like working in a team or whatever? So those tests are going to look at those things. They're gonna help the organization to kind of see what type of person you are, what level of intelligence, and all those things. So they do help the organization in terms of making good decisions when they employ people. And this is the second one, and I know many companies they employ this one, and I know even call centers they have a lot. I remember my wife had some assessments when she joined Mukuru and Capita, so there were some quite heavy assessments that they gave. So you just have to. I mean, like if you go into Google, you're gonna find a lot of assessments that you can always train yourself. So it's important to look out for all these assessments, more especially if you're in the market. Just train yourself. Go and do all these psychometric tests so that you are familiar with the questions that comes through. And obviously, when you're doing the trial ones, they're gonna send you the results, and you will obviously know. How far you are in terms of developing yourself and understanding how to approach your assessments and all that. So when you're at this stage, like I said, it is the third stage. In some companies, once you pass the assessment, you're gonna go to the fourth stage, which is the meet and greet, where you're meeting. I know when you go to the fourth stage, normally it is when they really, really, really have these maybe two individuals that are, in terms of scoring, they are really tight. They can't make, a decision because their CVs, they're promising. On the interviews, they were spot on. When they did the assessments, again, they were, in terms of scoring, they were tied. And so they need now to do the fourth stage, which is their second interviews now. And then obviously on those interviews, that's where they're going to determine who is the best candidate. So yeah, those are the assessments, the ones that you do on Excel or sometimes on PowerPoint. They'll give you a PowerPoint and say just quickly design a presentation. Here is a spreadsheet with numbers and all that. Design a presentation for the board and all that. So you have to quickly be fast. And I didn't mention this. Let me just remember it. The psychometric assessments, they are always time based. More especially the aptitude tests. They are timed. So you're going to be given maybe, let's say, 20 minutes to finish everything. So you have to work fast. That's another thing that I think it really kills many people when they're doing assessments. They can't finish on time. They always run out of time and all those things. But I would always say that when you go for an assessment, make it a point that those the questions that you answer, make it a point that they are correct. If you can't answer everything, then that's fine. But the ones that you really get a chance to do, make it a point that they are correct. Yes, so I think that's about it. That's about it for today. Thanks a lot. And then the next part now, I'm gonna look at how do you then negotiate for a proper salary? How do you negotiate for a proper salary?